Hello again everyone, and this is the Vintage Sewing Machine Garage YouTube channel, and I am continuing my series on the Kenmore 1581941 model for those of you who have not seen the other videos. And I wanted to talk about needle installation on this machine because it is a little different than many of the vintage machines I've shown you before. Now, I have mentioned to you all in the past that, oops, got my little stage light there, that when you are removing the foot, of course, there's a nice little lever over here. You don't unscrew it, right? There's I think it might be actually a grommet or something. You do not unscrew anything to attach or detach a sewing foot. However, when it comes to the needle itself actually has a little screw. Not sure why they did this, but they did. That was what they wanted. Now, fortunately, of course, by the time we get to the 70s, most of your sewing machines, the needles install, or they thread, I should say, front to back, right? So when you install a needle, you install it with the flat side facing away from you. It doesn't face to either side. So, and you'll know if it's installed properly because you can just rub your thumb or your finger across it and you should feel the groove, right? The groove of the needle is only on one side. You want the groove facing you, and of course the flat side is facing away when you install it. Now, the advice I suggested to you all in terms of dealing with small screws applies here. And that is because the screw that you're going to do, I have a very, very tiny screwdriver bit. You can use one of the small screwdrivers that sometimes come with sewing machines. Excuse me. Be very, very careful. If you don't have the right screwdriver size, do not do this because you will damage a very important part of your machine. This little screw was made for this machine. If you don't, stop. Just don't even go any farther. When you get the right size, you'll know because it'll want to turn. Now, the way this is designed, you do not have to unscrew this screw all the way. I cannot remember if I've ever done that and if it fell out. Some screws have a backstop, believe it or not, where they don't. However, I don't want to experiment with it because it's not very large, right? We don't want to have to go hunting for this. So, this is the needle that was in the machine when I got it. The needle could be great. It could be warped. It could be dull. I don't know. And needles don't cost much, and I'm not going to, and even if they did, I'd have to change it because the needle is important. And those of you who sew know this. So what am I going to do? I'm going to take the screwdriver bit, and I got the needle here, and I'm just going to turn it a little at a time. Get out of my own light here. How about that? Maybe that's a little bit better. There we go. So what am I doing? I'm going to turn to the left to loosen it, and it turns right very nicely. Now, I just turned it like, I don't know, 2 steps on a clock. Still there. I'm only going to loosen this screw enough to get the needle out because I'll need to get a new needle in, obviously. Now, I pulled that out. Look, it came right out. You can't even see the screw coming out very much from the side. And the old needle is out. You don't have to undo this all the way. So save yourself some time and grief and just do it enough to get the old needle out. So what needle am I going to put in here? I don't know if you can still get branded needles for Kenmores, and it doesn't matter. Home sewing machine needles are fine. Some of you have preferred brands, some of you don't. I have Schmetz that I was able to get, I think I got these locally, maybe online, I don't remember. I also use Organ brand. Now this is a jeans needle, and it is size 18. That is the largest size that this machine and most vintage machines will take. And that's a pretty big needle. The reason I'm doing this is because sometimes I use size 12 and 14 needles on things like Singer featherweights and 201s and 301s. But when I have something that's going to sew potentially some heavy material, I want to go ahead and use a needle that can handle that. And of course, when a needle says jeans, it doesn't just mean it's for jeans or denim. It's really built for heavy fabric of many types, and it is a little more stout, if you will. Any needle can break. Don't kid yourself. But Jeans needles are a great thing to do when you know you're going to be sewing tote bags or even, light garment, not, excuse me, I about misspoke there. Any kind of heavy material that is not something you would typically wear for clothing. Maybe you have a slip cover for a sofa or something. Okay, so let's, I'm going to keep the close-up here. Now remember, of course, and your manual will tell you this, the flat side of the needle, see if you can see it in the light. There it is, right there. Right? You see me turning it? There's the flat side. That flat side is going to be positioned away from me, right? So I'm going to come here. Let's see, I do have my, make sure I have my presser foot. Well, that's not going to help. I want my needle, there we go. I want my needle bar up high to give me working room here with this new needle install. And a needle can wiggle around on you, so keep checking as you're going through this process. Now I'm just going to look for the needle shaft, and I'm kind of doing this by feel, as many of you do. There we go. Now I'm pushing it up, and it's not getting resistance. That means that the needle it has enough space. I don't have to loosen my my little screw anymore. I keep pushing, and as soon as it stops, when that needle stops, that tells me, and I can tell here I've got the groove. I think I have the groove on the outside. Let's make sure. Yep. Now, once that needle stops, I need to tighten the screw, but notice I'm holding the needle, because if that needle droops, if it slides down at all, it'll throw off your timing. So hold the needle. You don't have to, smash it. Just hold it. Make sure it doesn't go down. And then I'm going to turn. There we go. I'm going to turn. Now it's snug. I'm going to check it with my screwdriver. Be careful here. You're not wrenching on a wheel on a tractor. So now that the needle seems to be fine, still got my groove facing the front, I'm just going to go over here and just test to make sure that the screw is snug. So turning, nice and snug. Again, you don't want to strip it, but it does need to be snug enough so that it keeps your needle in place. Okay, that is the installation of a needle. The only thing left in this area here is we're going to put our super high shank foot back in its spot. I'm going to do this from the side because that's probably the best way to kind of illustrate this, right? So remember, you want to have, if your presser bar is down, it's harder to get the foot under there. So make sure your presser bar is up. And you may have to actually pull up, because remember, you have play in a Kenmore of this era. I love it. Look at all that play you have in the presser bar. It's wonderful. So just pull that up, okay? Now I've got the foot. And notice the foot simply, it's sort of shaped like a U-channel, right? I'm going to put it under. Make sure it's underneath that little screw space there, and it'll sort of press up against it and then go all the way up. All right. Now, what do? I don't have to hold on to my presser bar, but I do need to hold the foot. Keep the foot pushing up. Don't let it slide. Now, what am I doing? I'm going to push this down. Remember this little lever in the back? Whoops, no, sorry. I'm looking at it backwards. Let's go back again, all right? When you dislodge this foot,